could do it.
The deadline is edging closer for the submission of public comments on the Housing Consumer Protection Bill. It seeks to adequately protect consumers and effectively regulate the home building industry. The bill also hopes to create an enabling environment for new entrants into the home building industry through the introduction of contractual provisions that ensure their sustainability in the market. Well, for more on this, I'm joined from my Cape Town studios by Tshepo Nkosi from the National Home Builders Registration Council. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Tshepo. Firstly, speak to us about the Housing Consumers Protection Bill, because this is effectively what the public is running time out on, where it needs to give its feedback. What is the purpose of this bill?
Thank you very much for having me, and good evening to your viewers. This bill seeks to repeal the current act, which is the Housing Consumer Measures Act of 1998. And from the name of the act, you can tell that it's quite old. It's over 20 years old. So we are really trying to make the new bill to be fit for purpose and to be in line with relevant legislation.
It talks centrally about the protection of consumers. Speak to us about some of the amendments then that would be put in place, which are included in this new bill, which seek to tighten the regulatory environment, but for the benefit of consumers.
There's a number of major changes to the bill. One of the significant ones is the increase in the warranty cover. As viewers may know, the NHBRC has a warranty cover, which is like an insurance for a home once it's constructed against any defect or any errant home builder that might have delivered a home that is under quality. So that's one of the major changes. The other one is we're looking at increasing the roof leak cover. As people can be also aware, is that the change in climate is such that we don't experience rains as often as we used to, and the current 1 year cover for the roof leak, we like to think that is inadequate. So the proposal is for this roof leak cover to be increased to 2 years. The third change to the legislation is that we're looking at the role of our inspectors, where we are saying that inspectors deliver a very critical role in the delivery of quality homes, and as such, we want to hold them accountable so that we can stop and put an end to all these rumors of malpractice and any form of corruption.
You've been on a roadshow throughout different parts of the country, 6 provinces so far. What has been the general feedback from those South Africans that you've managed to engage with?
Well, certainly I think housing consumers are welcoming of the new bill, because it really does extend the cover and the protection for housing consumers. But it's also about regulating the environment to make sure that should we have any excess funds on our warranty fund, we can then tap into those funds and develop emerging home builders. A lot of urban-based citizens tend to build their homes in the rural areas. And by law, those homes are also required to be enrolled with the NHBRC. But we do see some challenges with emerging home builders who need access to formal training as well as empowerment so that they can become one of the big fives.
Quality control is also a big issue in this particular sector. How is the bill going to ensure that the quality of houses or infrastructure that's being built does meet the standard before people occupy it and then are left with some of the dangers that, of course, are widely reported?
A significant change that is proposed in the bill is that the warranty cover actually starts from the date of construction. And the current act, it starts on the date of occupation. But over the years, we've realized that housing consumers are actually left in the lurch by errant home builders during the construction period, and therefore we want to make sure that they are adequately covered and protected against such.
Is this bill going to make it harder for those builders who perhaps are not necessarily doing everything according to the book or cutting corners just to save costs and increase their profits? Is it going to make it harder for those kind of people to have access to the market?
The NHBRC has over time been accused of being a toothless regulator. So we believe that with the proposed bill, that is certainly going to give it sufficient powers to ensure that we regulate this home building industry sufficiently. On one level, we're increasing the notion of what actually constitutes a home. The current act does not cover things like hostels, homes that are used by medical staff in hospitals and prisons. Therefore, so it really widens the scope of what constitutes a home. So that, from our point of view, it means more and more housing consumers will start to enjoy the protection of the law. There's also a very common practice within the home building industry where it's called 75-25, which refers to mixed-use developments like the likes of Melrose Arch in Johannesburg, where 75% of the floor space is used for commercial purposes and 25% is used for housing. And currently, in the current act, those houses are not meant to be enrolled and therefore are not quality assured by the NHBRC. With the new bill, we'll see a change that a whole lot new category of homes will now be covered under this new bill.
So when you say that you're going to have more bite than bark, as you've been accused of in the past, what does that practically mean? So what are the kind of sanctions that you'll be able to issue on companies or entities that have not been meeting the legal requirements? What does it mean going forward?
The current maximum penalty that the NHBRC can mete out to an errant home builder is 25,000 Rand. And certainly that's over a 20-year period is seen to be insufficient or inadequate. And the new bill now proposes a new maximum fine of up to R1 million. But we'll also be establishing an independent consumer, if you like, a form of disciplinary entity called the CEC. And the CEC will then be an independent from ourselves because as the NHBRC will also be an affected party. But that really looks at the protection of housing consumers in a very fair manner. But also home builders will also be given an opportunity to have their side of the story heard. Alternative dispute resolution measures are also being introduced to make sure that any kind of conflict that comes between a home builder and a housing consumer can be resolved easily and cheaply without having to resort to the courts.
I wonder then if the organization would be able to get involved. Recently we had the cement industry, in particular PPC, releasing the findings of a report that it's conducted showing that a lot of the cement that's out in, in retailers for public consumption is in fact below standard, even below the standard of the SABS. So I wonder if that is something that you would also be able to have a say in, because for many consumers, you aren't really at a place to judge whether or not you're being given, or whether or not the quality of product that's being used to build your house is in fact up to scratch.
Oh, absolutely. And we are actually looking at partnerships with such industry players as PPC, so that we insist that home builders use quality products when constructing homes. And that is the purview of the organizations such as the SABS to ensure that actually in the country we manufacture and we sell to housing consumers and home builders quality materials to be able to construct quality homes ultimately.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. Tshepo Ngosi is with the NHBRC. We'll take a short break. News at Prime continues after this. Do stay with us.